Hi everyone, it's Ash from FPL Hints, here with my first draft of the Fantasy Premier League 24-25 season. As always, if you're able to like, share and subscribe, that will be greatly appreciated. The season only ended just over a week ago at the time of recording, and all of the newly promoted teams have now been confirmed following the playoffs over the weekend. So our friends over at FPL Team have kindly facilitated the predicted prices, which in turn has allowed me to attempt my first draft for the FPL 24-25 season. So in terms of the pricing, first of all, as you can see on the right-hand side, we've got some notable changes. As we can see, Saka is no longer 8.5 million. You could say he was underpriced last year anyway. Foden has bumped up to 9.5, and Palmer, who was 5 million at the start of the 23-24 season, is now 9.5 million. And you're probably wondering that how accurate are these prices? Of course, I actually attempted making drafts in the preseason before the FPL game launched last season as well. And the prices were surprisingly accurate, maybe a 0.5 off here and there for certain players. But what we can see, which isn't a big surprise, is that many of the players who seemingly were underpriced last season, they've had a significant bump up. Of course, Haaland is still the most expensive player in the game at 14.0 million. Other notable increases, we've got Watkins there at 9 million. And then surprisingly, if you just go further down, De Bruyne has dropped to 8.5 million. So, and Havertz right at the bottom there at 8 million as well. So yeah, there will be some chopping and changing. And of course, we won't know what the actual fixtures are until mid-June. So I'm going to be constructing this draft on predicted prices with players and without knowing what their actual fixtures are. But I wanted like a reference point to get me going. And whilst your favorite content creators are on holiday, I'm here to fill the void and hopefully get you up and running as well. Not that you may have wanted to, but here goes. So again, no script. I'm just going to go straight in and attempt making a team. So let's just get no nonsense here. Let's get the obvious players in. So in comes Haaland into my draft. Uh, Cole Palmer was in sensational form, so in he comes in as well. And then I'll go to the defense. Clearly, I'm going to need an Arsenal defender. So select position, go to defenders. Got Trent there, Ben White at 6.5 million. I'm going to pick Saliba right now. So there we go. So that's the spine of the team. And I'm going to need some sort of budget goalkeeper. So one of the players that I am going to pick is going to be a 4.5 million player. No massive surprises. It's a shame Pickford is now 5 million, so I can't pick him. And then just go further down. Ramsdale, who, well, unless he gets a move, will be second choice still at Arsenal. Neto, Flecken potential options as well. But I'm going to go for Leno, who kept a fair few number of clean sheets last season and was unlucky probably not to keep more. Maybe he can keep more if Fulham bolster the defence over the summer. So in comes Leno. So that's the spine of the team, budget goalkeeper, premium defender, and then I've got Palmer and Haaland as my premium attackers. So I'm now going to just develop this team a bit more. I want another attacking defender in my team. So go all the way up, go to defenders. The one that really springs to mind is Pedro Porro. I'm going to sort it by percentage to see how many people have got him in their drafts right now. So yeah, there he is. It's fairly popular. 5.5 million, he's a steal. So in he comes. And then in terms of another defender, you can see there, got Trippier on the screen as well. But I'm going to go like slightly lower here for a 5.0 defender. If I can just go here all the way down, just get the filter up. There we go. And there he is, Gusto. So, no like FPL draft seems to be complete nowadays without an attacking Chelsea defender, and it was Reece James in seasons gone by, Chilwell, and then it's Gusto for the time being. So whether he retains his place remains to be seen, but I just got him there as a 5.0 placeholder in my team. And of course, Pochettino has now left the club. At the time of recording, there are reports that Maresca will be potentially, well, he's heavily linked. So interesting point of note with the style of play that he's got with Leicester in the season that's just gone. And Leicester also, with their possession-based football, also kept a very high number of clean sheets in the Championship as well. So if Maresca was to move to Stamford Bridge, it would further validate me having a Chelsea defender. So that's the back line complete with this initial draft. So I need to now construct the remainder of my squad with the attack. So working backwards, 55.5 million in the bank. So fair bit of cash there, but I probably can't fit in another attacker with a double-digit price tag. So going to go to Manchester United. Again, at the time of recording, Ten Hag is the manager, but there are reports that he might no longer be in the job beyond the summer. But that doesn't really matter for this illustration. So I'm actually going to go for a player if I can find him. So let me just get this up here. Just got to increase the price bracket as well. Bruno Fernandes, there he is, with his robust X-Mins, and really had to step up this season, and ultimately they missed out on Champions League football, but then through winning the FA Cup, United got straight into the Europa League, bypassing Newcastle in the process as well. Talking of which, Newcastle United, another player that springs to mind is Anthony Gordon, had a fantastic season, so got to get him in as well. And then another player I'm going to get, and with reports of Ivan Toney likely to leave in the summer, Mbeumo stepped up to the plate last season when Toney was unavailable. I'm going to pick Mbeumo again. So again, one of those players who I had in my summer drafts, but then I just didn't end up buying him for whatever reason until later in the season. There he is, Mbeumo. So again, you can ignore the fixtures right now. They're just there as an illustration placeholder. And I've got no doubt that our friends at FPL.team will update the fixtures once they go live during mid-June. So like I've said, I'm recording this in May. Season has barely been over, but I thought, why not? The tech is there, and my brain is in thinking mode right now for FPL. So going to just crack on with this. So I've got my bench to fill, as well as 2 strikers to complete this first draft. So I'm going to actually work on the strikers first of all, and then I'll work on the actual bench. So I'm going to go back to Arsenal now, and a player who I really wanted in my team, and I just couldn't get him in at all for different reasons. It's Kai Havertz, who had a sensational season. I'm pretty certain he was listed as a midfielder this season, but just due to the position that he played, you'd probably guarantee he'll be a forward next season. So in he comes as another starting striker. And then to complete my lineup, I'm going to go for a Crystal Palace player, someone who I thankfully got in for the final game week on a -4, who I unfortunately didn't get in for that double game week when he scored like a monster 29 points, and that is Mateta. I've been very impressed with his form since their new boss took over. He's been absolutely sensational, and I'm expecting big things from Crystal Palace. Like you often see these mid-table teams towards the end of the previous season pick up some form when they've got a new manager, and more often than not, they seem to maintain that momentum for the start of the next season. One notable example that I can think of straight away, and I'm not comparing Crystal Palace to Leicester from the 14-15, 15-16 season, but I am anyway. How Leicester remarkably turned things around in 14-15, avoided relegation, and then of course had a managerial change with Claudio Ranieri, but same crop of players, and they obviously did remarkably well the season after. And I just feel with Crystal Palace, look, are they going to push for a title challenge? Highly doubt it, but I think they could be knocking on a European spot potentially if they hit the ground running at the start of the 24-25 season. So Mateta has been brilliant form, and that system that they've got in place right now is clearly working for him. And if Palace sign another striker in the summer, then obviously that would take somewhat of a change in my future drafts. But for now, this is a lot of this is based on form really, and the importance of these players in their respective teams. So fairly happy, fairly balanced. I've not like lopsided the actual squad. I'm just looking at the amount of budget. I've got 18 million, and I've got 4 players still to pick. So again, I'm not going to just be picking 4.0s, thankfully. Now, one player who I'm going to pick for my goalkeeper, 4.5 million, hopefully, and he is Leicester's goalkeeper. Just getting him there. If I can find him, just let me just reduce the budget down. There we go. Should have high ownership. Oh, where is he? Oh, very odd. Let's just go to Leicester. There he is, Hermansen. And it's interesting. I still remember when Leicester got relegated that season. Schmeichel left in the summer, and they didn't sign a experienced goalkeeper. They signed someone called Smithies, I think. And then the goalkeepers they relied on were Iverson and Danny Ward, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty certain that had Leicester signed an experienced goalkeeper of some quality and played that goalkeeper throughout the season, they probably would have avoided relegation. But they instead just rotated those 2 goalkeepers and yeah, just got relegated. And Hermansen's been sensational in the championship, most number of clean sheets, albeit under Maresca. So remains to be seen if he'll be there for Leicester beyond the summer. But I can't really look past him as a second goalkeeper. So I've got rotating goalkeepers, no 4.0 bench fodder in that place. And then I've got 13.5 million in the bank. And I'm going to go to an Arsenal player here, someone who I could really potentially start, but someone who I'm going to have as a sub one. If you wanted a sub one player who doesn't cost too much, it has to be Declan Rice. 5.5 million on this predicted price. I really hope he isn't 6 million in the actual official game. So that is a bit of a worry. But if he is 5.5 million, as per this projection, it would make sense for me to have him as my sub one. I really can't look beyond Declan Rice with that new position that he's been playing in, scoring a number of goals, getting a number of assists as well. And of course, you've got Saka, you've got Odegaard, you say Havertz, quote unquote, who would probably be a striker. If there's one Arsenal player that I'm willing to get and I can't get Saka in, then Rice is definitely an option for now in my first draft. That leaves me with 8 million. So because I've stretched that far, I'm going to have to get in a couple of fodder players now. But just out of interest, midfielders, push it to 5 million, just seeing who is the highest owned player. So would I get Enzo at 5 million? Probably not when I've got Cole Palmer and Gusto. Anderson, this is sorted by ownership, interestingly enough. Who else is there? McTominay, Souček, 5 million potentially if he gets more advanced. Adingra is of interest if he isn't rotated with Brighton's new manager. I think he would definitely be a really good shout as well. Further down, not long stuff. Really, Adingra, Souček maybe if I didn't want Declan Rice as a sub one player. So on to the defence now. Gonna go to Ipswich. Let's see which 4.0 defenders they've got in store. Got Clark. I'm pretty certain Clark of Ipswich played quite a few games for them. So I'm just going to quick search here for Clark of Ipswich. So is that 4.0 price tag right? Is it Harry Clark? So according to the stats, played 35 games. So if he is a 4.0 player, that would be quite interesting. Now, I don't know which other potential 4.0s have played that many games. So I've just randomly picked just to complete this draft for now and to have like some fodder. I benched too many points last season, so I wouldn't want like a 4.5 sub 2 and a 4.5 sub 3 necessarily. Maybe a sub 2, but for now, defenders. Let's see who's the highest owned one there. Chambers of Aston Villa, Gomez. Let's go for. Not sure which of these ones are going to get any minutes. Let's pick. Yeah, let's just go to Southampton. There we go. Bree, 4.0 million. And just to remind you all, this draft that I'm constructing, you can do it yourself. Just pop your ID into FPL.team and get creating straight away. The only downside is we don't know what the fixtures are at this moment in time. Just wait another 2 weeks for them. But at the very least, you've got an idea on the kind of draft that you can construct before the game launches. This officially is my first draft of the 24-25 season. So got Leno in goal for Fulham, and of course Fulham had is it mixed season? Is that a right word for them? Not too sure. And Leno kept 10 clean sheets last season, so at that price range, I'm fairly content with him and his proven pedigree in the Premier League. On to the defenders. You've got Pedro Porro with his attacking prowess, Gusto with his attacking prowess as well, and then Saliba with his rock steadiness in defence. So fairly happy with them as well. And then onto the midfield, Bruno Fernandes, Palmer, Gordon, and Buemo. Obviously, with this draft, I'm missing a Son, Mohamed Salah, a Saka. But if I was to stretch that far, is it possible? Probably could. I'd need to upgrade Fernandes to Saka and then downsize Mbuemo. That would be possible. But for now, I've just focused on balance. And then onto the strikers, I'd say that's very balanced. You've got Haaland and then Havertz and then Mateta. So on the whole, I think that works fairly well. And then onto the bench, easily that extra million, I could also just downsize Rice to a 4.5, and then the extra million could go to from Bruno Fernandes to Saka. But then, of course, we've got the Euros as well this season, well, this summer as well. So some of these players might be fatigued, they might get rested during the first game or so of the season. So Hermanson, Rice, Clark, and Bree make the bench. So in terms of players who are not featuring at the Euros, obviously Haaland is one of those players. But I'd say that a significant number of these, you've got likes of Palmer, Fernandes, Havertz, Saliba will be featuring. So it remains to be seen how many will be in my actual locked in game week 1 team. It's given me a nice reference point, something to work with once my FPL brain gets back into gear, once the fixtures are ready, and once the game launches, probably a few weeks after that. So there you have it. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Is this too balanced? Am I missing some obvious players? And as always, if you're able to like, share, and subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. Take care and all the best.